back to Mish Monster Sports. This is video 3. Gonna go ahead and give an analysis of Game 7 against Boston and the Heat coming out victorious, and why I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum need to go their separate ways. And if Boston gives both of those dudes the max, why it'll be a complete disaster for their franchise. Game 7 between the Miami Heat and Boston Celtics was just a microcosm of who both of these teams are. When Miami came out and they won the first 3 games, 2 on Boston's home floor, you knew they were dogs. When Boston came back 3 games in a row, you knew that both Tatum and Jaylen Brown need to get punched in the mouth in order to respond and to show that they have some alpha and some dog in them. And so in Game 7, where you need to be the most resilient, the most aggressive, the most dominant, the only team that can do that in this series is Miami. And so there's no surprise that the game wasn't close. There's no surprise that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum combined for about 35 points. Yes, Tatum got hurt, so it's pretty difficult to play when you are on a bum ankle. But for Jaylen Brown to be passive, to sit back and not be attacking the basket, I get he wasn't shooting very well, but you need to get to the cup. It's Game 7. It feels a bit like they care more about being called soft than they do about winning. Because if you were a team, or if your leaders were 2 guys who took massive pride in it, they wouldn't allow another team to come on their floor and take three games. It is seriously, this shows you why these two, it's time to move on, right? You can't pull this out of guys. If you don't have that in you, then you just don't have it. And when you have 2 guys who seem to be afraid to step on each other's toes, and one is never really willing to just take over the driver's seat and just sitting back and waiting for the other, like, that's a massive problem for Boston. There were times I saw that Jaylen, he looked a little tired. He looked super engaged in guarding Jimmy Butler. And so if that's the case, then their coach needs to switch Jaylen off to basically to another player so that he doesn't have to exert all of his energy. It goes without saying that Jimmy and Bam are going to have to come out and play significantly better in order for Miami to have a shot. What Denver doesn't have is a team full of dudes who are biting your ankles, who are just, they're pests. They were resilient. They never should have been on this stage, right? I mean, if Caleb Martin is going to be the Heat's best player in the finals, then I think we all know that the finals are over, right? Like, we know that this guy is not going to be able to put out a consistent production the same way that he has in this last couple of games. So obviously we know I'm taking Denver the first game. We've got to see that Miami's going to probably come out pretty depleted. I don't think that's going to rattle them whatsoever. And Game 2, circle back, and we'll be here to give analysis after Game 1 and where I see opportunity for the losing team to capitalize.